Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss one of the very important topic, which is related to the Oracle Unified methodology. So we as a consultant should understand what is the implementation and what are the different background of what are the things which happen in terms of implementation. Either it is the upgrade or support, we need to understand the concept of it and whatever the setups which we are going to do in the system. This will come later on. It's not like you know, we just start the project and we go and do the setups. No, it might come after 3 months, after 6 months. Even there is a possibility that we do the setups after 1 year as well. That is also possible. So first we need to understand what is the overall project, what is the project blueprint or the scope, then we proceed further. So we will learn today the overall concept on this. So ERP implementation, it involves installing the software, which is done by the admin team, moving financial data over to the new system, so which is part of data migration. When we're talking about opening balances or trial balance or invoices or customers, suppliers, these are all moving the financial data from the old system to the new system. Configuring configuring your users and process. This is nothing but creating the roles, attaching the users, or having the users, then processes. When we say processes, we already covered like record to report, like all the GL setup which we do, general ledger, that is record to report, O2C, sorry, P2P, procure to pay. So where we have learned how to do the payables setup, making the invoices, making the payments, that is the P2P. O2C is order to cash, where we understand the concept of the importance of creating the order, then how order will be moved to the AR, which will be transaction, then receipts. So all those things are part of the processes. Then we need to training your users on the software. So we will definitely go through different stages of it. So we have training to the users, that is important because they need to understand the system. It's a new system. So we handhold them, particularly module wise, within module wise, processes wise. So in that way, it will be training. So let's have a different, uh, what is the approach which we are going to take once we decided to start the implementation. So one important thing is any project, any ERP you take, whether it is Oracle or any other software, the concept of implementation is same. Why we call it as Oracle is the reason is it is being recommended by Oracle, this methodology. And the importance of this one is, let's say, for example, I know few of the concepts on the project management. So when I go to the client to implement it, so I will talk the implementation language. So that is a common language for all the implementation for all the clients as well. So that is the reason it is called a unified methodology. Any questions, please? Okay. So what are the phases of implementation plan? So first is the discovery and planning. All ERP projects start with discovery and planning phase, which includes researching, selecting a system, setting a project team, and defining detailed system requirements. So when we say discovery and planning, it means to say that let's say we are an organization, a government entity, ABC. So we decided internally, the management or all the department heads or the IT department head decided that there is a requirement for us to implement a ERP system because our business is expanding. And not only that, ERP is also implemented or is also uh, considered because it is recommended by the auditors, it is recommended by the external stakeholders, or if you are a listed company, it is recommended by directors, all those things. So for that reason also, and also to have the competition in the market, all those things, we normally go with the known ERP softwares. So the first thing is we are going to have setting up a team, means project team. Then we will have the relevant consultants, track leads, and all those. Once it is done, then we are going to have a detailed system requirements. System requirements is something where we sit with the user. We first try to understand their existing process. Let's say, for example, we all went as a consultants and I'm a project manager. So we all went to the organization to start doing the implementation. The first and foremost thing is we, first of all, we define ourselves internal roles. Like, for example, Mr. Kamath will be handling AP module and Godfrey GL module and Sai Krishna AR module, something like that. So Hari will be handling the fixed assets. So it is all decided internally first because based on their expertise, it will be decided. Then when we start the implementation, obviously we will be at the premises of the client. Then the first thing is we start doing the system requirements. Why we need to do this? First, we will understand their current process, means how they are doing currently, how they are creating the journals, how they are creating the invoices, how they are making the payments. Maybe they are making a simple payment, means outside the system, or they might be having a very existing system, but may not be as big as or as integrated as Oracle. So we start understanding their requirements. So the first basic thing is to start understanding their current process. Then we also start capturing what will be their future process. Why? Because let's say today in the current process, they may not be having a document sequence for AP or GL because maybe that system is not supported or they are totally new organization. They just started the organization. There can be many reasons. Then in the current process, we capture that they don't have the document sequence. And when we do the system requirement, we ask them, do you want to have document sequence? Then they ask, what is that? Then we define it in the demo system and we show to them that this is how when you create a general entry, a document sequence, a unique number is generated. That is nothing but making them understand what exactly we can achieve. So this is all part of the system requirement. And we will document this and we will also put the future process. Future process means like earlier this document sequence was not there, but in Oracle we are going to have like this and the serial and the sequential number will start from so and so number. So that is where we call as a future require. And they may say, like for each transaction, I need to have like alphabetic document sequence. Alphabetic means A001, B001. Maybe they have a very strong requirement of that, but it is not recommended and supported by the system. So then we put it in a fit gap analysis. So once these requirements is done and future requirements are also, I mean, the process is also captured, then we take a sign off from it. Why we need to take sign off? Because tomorrow they should not come back. No, this is not my process, or this is not why I'm expecting. For that reason, once that is done, then we move to design. Design is nothing but we internally start processing it or understanding the system, then will be start configuring the system. So that is all part of the design. A solution design normally we call it. Then we do the development is nothing but getting more deep dive with the reports, with the integration, the system setups and all those things. Then we do the testing, then deployment means go live, system support and upload. This is at the very high level, but we will move forward on. So now there is a strategy which is Oracle Unified. So develop a single integrated method that supports the entire Oracle ecosystem across the complete suite of Oracle products. When we say Oracle products, we are not talking just about the financials or SCM, something like that. It is all about 100 plus products which Oracle is having. We follow the same methodology, whether we do a financial implementation or HCM implementation or CRM implementation, anything, we follow the methodology. And this is recommended by Oracle. And normally what Oracle says is you all follow the same methodology because that will really help in terms of many other uh, many other qualities as well within that. Okay, so decommission legacy methods as organization transition to decommission means we are moving from the legacy methods. Maybe we are using Tally or any other software, then we are going to have a transition. So how we do the transition, OUM clearly explains on. So now, what is the concept or goals of OUM? Single body of knowledge, standards-based yet progressive product and technology, support supplement guidance, tight integration between enterprise and project level. This is very important to highlight tight integration because if you remember, when we first started our session, we started with adding a role, which is application implementation manager, consultant, functional setup user. Then we started a implementation project, right? Where we selected the offerings, options, task, and all those things. So when we create a implementation project, that is nothing but a project level process. But internally, when we are going to define those setups, so that is something enterprise level setup. So OUM has the combination of project management plus setup. So what are the benefits of OUM? After this session, I will copy these slides as well for your reference. Please go through that. So it is a common language. Why it is common language? Because once we learn that, then I go to implementation to any country. I may going to Spain or Germany. It doesn't matter. Maybe their language is different and my language is different, but we all, when we start doing the implementation, we always talk OUM language. OUM language means we follow the requirement stage, we follow the designing, we follow the implement training stage, and what are the common documents which we require. So in that way. So the best example is when I'm traveling, for example, from one country to other country, any country I go, we follow the very standard rules that definitely we need to have a boarding pass. Then when we get into the flight, obviously we follow the rules, whether it is any airlines. The very common thing is we have a seat belt. So in that way, or any country we travel, whether it might be right hand driving or left hand driving, but for sure we follow the traffic rules, right? So in that way, those traffic rules are nothing but OUM methodology, what we need to follow. So renewed implementation process means every year or every time based on the requirement, Oracle comes up with new innovative methods to be adopted. Then acquisitions are nothing but if we are going to have different projects, how we need to handle it. It's not only one project, maybe multiple projects, which is called as a program. Then reduce duplication means, let's say, for example, myself and Mr. Kamath are working on the setups, or like I am from SCM and Mr. Kamath is on AP module. So the relevant of SCM, I will do the setups, and from there on, he will be doing it for the AP module setup. So we don't duplicate it. And also, like, if you are going to upload a customer or supplier, whether it is being used by SCM team or any other teams, so that customer is it's loaded only once. So that can be used across all the modules wherever it is applicable. So in that way, we reduce the duplication. Then it is a comprehensive toolkit. So what it means, focus areas, phases, activities, processes, and tasks, we can have it. High quality work products. So there are lot of templates being provided by OUM. So OUM is something where we register with Oracle, and particularly the partners. Let's say I'm an implementation partner. Maybe I'm a diamond or gold, for example. There are different partners of Oracle. So the moment I enrolled, I get a link to download all those two templates. So I no need to go and start from the, like, it's not something like inventing the wheel. Already the templates are there. I just need to change the client name, something like that, and put the existing client name. All the data will be there. I just need to have it. For example, payment terms. It is already written there. I just need to mention as 30 days. And the other thing is, for example, we also have other common things like uh, bank multi-currency reconciliation or multi-currency account. Yes. So all those templates will be there. We just need to fill it up. So tailored work plans, supplement guide, products, tools, techniques, all those approach and standards. So this will help to have our approach towards the implementation, and hosted or installed locally. So this one, if I am a member, so I can directly install it locally and I can start using this toolkit. So these are the key activities by phase which we need to set up. So first thing when we go for the implementation is we start planning the project. So there are 5 phases, I would say: project design, configuration, validate, transition, and realization. If I state that I am having an implementation experience, even though maybe I am a fresher in terms of setups or Oracle, but for sure, in one or the other way in my career, if I'm having experience, whether it might be of a sales experience or any other, if I'm working in the bank as a manager or anything, definitely you will have this sort of nearby experience on at least touching the base of project, like, or having in somewhere transition. Maybe if you are a bank manager, maybe you might have a transition from old system to new system and all those things. So these are the 5 stages or phases which we follow, and you just need to remember this by heart, because if I say that I have done implementation or I know what is implementation, then they ask what are the different phases at the very high level. So first we start with planning the project. So let's say that ABCA has invited 3 vendors, and in that they shortlisted us. So we uh, have a project manager. It is decided that, for example, AB within our one member will be project manager, So then the rest of the team. So we plan a project based on understanding what is the client product. So client says that I want to implement because they already give this as a code. When I'm saying plan projects and all those, it means to say that in the background already the product is decided, the client has decided who will be the vendor and what are all modules they will be implementing. That discussion will happen offline, and the project manager from the implementation team will discuss with the client project manager, telling that we will implement all this in 2 phases or 1 phase in 2 years, all those. So once those are finalized, then the first thing is we plan the project, we conduct the kickoff meeting. Kickoff meeting initiates telling that officially we are launching the implementation project. Why we need to have this? This is to communicate all the departments within the organization who is going to get impacted because of this implementation. So there we start buying the confidence of the users, like all the department heads, users, and all those people will be attending. Even I have seen in some of the implementation for few of the government entities, they organize this in a banquet hall because there are many users are there, majority of the users. So for each department, like 20 departments, imagine at least 500 people attending it. So conduct kickoff meeting. So in this meeting, it is very clear what is the project, what is the goals, objectives of the project, when we are going to start, what are the different modules we are going to implement, what will be the different phases. All those things will be explained in depth so that all the people are aware. And tomorrow, if I need to conduct a meeting or any of our members wants to conduct a requirement meeting with the client, so they should be aware that yes, these people are talking about the fusion implementation. So for that reason also, conduct kickoff meeting is important. Why I'm emphasizing more on this one is in the interview they will ask what is the concept of kickoff meeting, why you need to do a kickoff meeting. They may not ask you all about all these things, but at least they will ask this question because this is the base. If we are our vision will be very clear in the kickoff meeting. So that is the reason kickoff meeting is very critical and it is a mandatory. You cannot escape kickoff meeting in the implementation. Then we schedule the workshops. Why we need to do this? See, this is the first time the client is seeing the fusion product. So we need to capture the requirement. If I say to the client, I need what is the document sequence you need to have, even he never used that, or this is the first time they are implementing ERP system, they might be using manual, or they might be using Excel sheet, or they might be using a product very old 20 years back. So we need to explain them what is the fusion product, what are the different features in that, and that will be nothing but conducting the scheduling the workshops, then conducting those functional design workshops. So this will help us to capture the system requirements and how the future process will be, all those things. So conduct design review. So then we conduct telling that this is how the new system will look, and we will show them the demo telling that, for example, document sequence which we captured in the system requirement, this is how it will be represented. This is how the system will generate the AP invoice. This is how it will be directly the moment invoice is generated will be in the PDF format. You can directly send it to vendor by mail, to the customer by mail. So all those things are part of this. And security and strategies. So who will be having what role, and within that what access and all those things. So then we conduct implementation checkpoints. So okay, this has been covered. design has been covered and all those things. So these are part of the project design. When we come to configuration, so project design may be based on the experience, it will be handled. Most of the cases will be handled by the project manager, program manager. Configuration is a phase which will be done by us at the ground level, means we are going to do the setup of the setup applications. Like each one will take a role in that. One will be having the ownership for GL within us, then one will be AP, AR, fixed assets. So we start doing the setup of the application. See, unless and until we don't have the workshops and all those things, we don't move to this application, because first we need to take a confirmation from them, telling that, showing that this is how the system will be. Are you okay with it? Let's say, for example, we showed them the example in terms of invoice approval in AP. So we say that if it is less than 1,000, it will be auto approved. If it is 1,000 to 5,000, it will go to manager, then to CFO, CEO. So those are all nothing but we are going to show them as a part of workshop. It will also be as a part of functional design, which once we design it, we capture that and we share them for the sign off. Once they are say, okay, please go ahead, then we come to the setup of application. Because as you also know, few things once we define, we cannot change it. For example, the calendar. So if they say that we need to have every quarter and adjustment. So if I don't document and I go ahead and do the setup, and when we show it in the system, they say, no, no, no. During UAT, they say, we said only one. How come you have defined 4 adjustments periods? So for that reason, whatever we discuss, we capture that, we take a sign off, and there is a naming convention. I will come to that slide. And based on that only, we start doing the set. Once it is done, we validate configurations. Internally, we validate. Then validation means integration. Like I'm expert in GL, so I created the primary ledger. I open the period. Then Mr. Kamath is expert in accounts payable, so he will do his setup. Then he goes to the AP to open the first accounting period. If he doesn't find over there the GL periods, it means to say that we did not configure properly, or if the document sequence is not generating for AP, means something is missing, or the data when we are transferring is not properly coming. Instead of some detail, it is coming as summary. So all those validations will be done. We load and validate data. So load and validate is something where we are talking about the customer, suppliers, and all those things. Build and validate integration, because when we say P2P or O2C, so we are talking about different modules. And finally, how the data is flown to the GL. Then we apply and validate extensions. Extensions of something like, let's say I have a system where I need time and attendance, means the moment I enter into the office premise, I scan my card, there is a time and attendance software or a bar reader is there. So that needs to be integrated with ERP, because maybe that is directly linked to the attendance, and attendance links to the payroll. So then implement security, as I discussed on the rules, prepare cutover strategy. So this cutover strategy is important, because we need to know, let's say the go live date is January 1st. So by 30th December 31st, we need to ensure that all the data from the old system is taken as closing balances, because that needs to be moved as the opening balances. We need to tell to the vendor, if it is the iPortal, that please don't enter any invoices for next 3 days, or from December 29 to 31st, because we are upgrading system. So there should be proper cutover strategy should be there. And these strategies also discussed in the kickoff meeting at high level. Then we check the implementation checkpoint, like, okay, the modules are fine, the migration data is there, master data is there, all those things. So this is all part of the configurations. Then we move to the validate. So validate means whatever the setups which we have done, if there are any changes or anything, we update the setups, we prepare validation script. So these configure and validate is the part of the consultant only. In the project design, we may be part of it, but not completely, because we may give inputs to the project manager. Okay, this module I'm going to implement or configure in 3 months or 2 months. So all those inputs are taken by project manager to arrive at a project plan. So maybe we give it 50% or 30% of efforts, but these configure and validate, we are going to have 100% of our efforts in it. We prepare validation scripts. Scripts are nothing but, like, let's say, create a invoice. Go to this screen, open task window, log in into the application, go to accounts payable. Under that, click on invoices, go to task, open create invoice, click on create invoice, select the BU, select the supplier name or number, then enter the amount, select the line item. So all those are part of the validation scripts. Means definitely we need to have the scripts, how and in what level or stage those to be followed. When we say validation scripts, then it can be validation of, before we give it to user, definitely we have to validate internally ourselves. And particularly now, what is the role of fresher? Why they will take freshers into the organization? This is where they will take it particularly, because you know the system. Maybe you are not that much advanced level expert, but now as you are trained for last 3 months or whatever it is, you, based on your expertise practicing, you know exactly the navigations. If I tell you today, please go and prepare a script of entering the invoice, entering the payment, entering the journal entries, posting the journal entries, you will be doing it excellent, because you already practice on that. So that is the reason organizations hire freshers, because they will be preparing the validation script. Even when I started as a consultant, as a junior consultant, my role was to prepare the scripts, to prepare the training manual, all those things. So in this way, we start practicing it out, or we start being part of the system. Then next year, I may be moved to do the setup. Maybe this year, I'm just going to help to prepare the scripts, prepare the manuals and all those. Then load and validate data. So data like FBDI, we upload the journals, or the best example is exchange rates, and we validate. Then conduct end-to-end review. So we all as a team, like I created a invoice, and that will be made payment by, for example, Sai Krishna. Then that will be checked by Mr. Kamath on GL. So we will be having complete end-to-end review. So after that, we prepare for training. So training means we need to have the manuals. So that is where, again, the freshers or with 1 year experience, or even the fresher, they will prepare the manual for training. So then we conduct train the trainer workshops. Train the trainer is something we are not going to conduct. Let's say that in finance department, within that in AP department, there are 20 users are there. No, we don't train all 20 users. We select the smart people in that, or when we have this plan project, at that time we ask them, please share your key resources or key business process users. So they will share it with us. So we will conduct the training to only them. And internally later on, they will conduct the training to the other people. Why? Because there are two things. It is cost effective. Like if I'm going to train all 20 people within each department, I will charge more because it requires more efforts. Or the organization, they prefer, no, you just give training to our 3 to 4 people, they will give internally. So in this way, conduct train the trainer workshops, then implementation checkpoint, again we do it. Whatever we the training documents are okay, valid loaded data is okay, scripts are okay, everything. But each point we will have, you could see here, implementation checkpoint at each phase. Transition. Transition is something we are moving from. Currently, all these, whatever we have done, we do it in demo instance, then we do it in UAT instance or SIT system integration testing instance. Now we are moving, everything is okay. We are satisfied, the client is satisfied when we conducted the training, all those things. Now we migrate configuration to production. So there is something called as rapid implementation methodology, where we no need to copy. I mean to say, we no need to again start the setup from the scratch. We can just copy it from one instance to the other instance, which is through the rapid implementation. We migrate configuration, integrations. We load, reconcile, and validate data in production because now it is going to be production. So all the opening balances, customers, everything we sorted out here in load and validate data. What we do is, maybe we have some of the inactive suppliers. We don't want that. Outdated things we don't want. So we take only that which is relevant and useful. So we take in that. Now we conduct final validation review. Once it is okay, verify production and operational readiness. So we ask the client, by 30th December, we are going to switch off all your old systems. Now the user has to start entering transactions in the new system. So then we start using production. So again, we will have a checkpoint whether we followed all those things, because auditing and all those will come into picture. And in realization, we have transition to case study operations. So this is something called as hypercare. Like first 3 months, we give a support and we ensure that post go live support is there. So even a fresher, now the question comes is, why the organizations will hire freshers? Because of obviously you will be either preparing the scripts or training material, even support as well. You may be part of support. Even in fact, I have also worked for a few years in the support. So like few things initially come up, user doesn't know. It takes some practice. Okay, how I will create accounting, how I will push the data to GL. So all those things, or in case user forget to push the data to GL. Sorry, and is trying to close the period, AP period. So obviously the data should not be in that stage. It should be moved to GL. So we as a consultant or you as a consultant is going to provide them the support, then hands off to customer relationship manager. So like we are done for 3 months. If they want to extend, well and good. Otherwise, we start giving a hand off to them. Then acceptance, like, okay, whatever we implemented or we supported, everything is fine, it's working. So we gave acceptance, means acceptance letter is to be given, or not only given, taken by us, because we also need to show to our management that then we officially close the project. So this is something very important slide. I request everyone to go through it again and again and keep it as a handy whenever you attend any interviews. And you could see Oracle responsibility and shared responsibility means, and customer responsibility. It's very clear by these colors who has what responsibility. So then what OUM supports, it supports project and program management. Project means if you are doing single project. Program means, let's say, maybe we are handling ABC customer, XYZ customer, other 3, 4 customers together. So that is the program management. So it supports all, both project and multiple projects. It supports application implementation, means whatever we are going to implement the fusion. Software upgrade, so any upgrades which happens like every quarterly, Oracle do a release, that will be supported. Complete range of technology projects, so up to dated as being cloud based, so templates and all those things, techniques and tools, or all this part of it. So the task which will be given, if you remember when we created the implementation project, there will be tasks. So that task will be given to each individual. Like if I am a project manager, I give a task to all our members or team members. Like I will be giving it to Ganesh, Godfrey, Hari, Murli, everyone, uh, based on your module, what you need to do. So, because I also need to track it and present it to the management on weekly meetings or whatever it is, and also to track internally as well. So these are something we refer it as a task. Then processes. So as you know that we are going to follow the processes, which means to say P2P is a process, procure to pay, tasks related by subject matter. Like for example, let's say there was a question like if I'm having a 10 years of experience in sales or in the bank as a manager, when I'm shifting to Oracle, do I get a job? Do I get a openings? Yes, definitely you will get it, because they require someone who understands the processes. See, for example, if you are being working as as a bank manager, so bank manager covers majority of the transactions. Maybe if I say cash management, they cover 90%, because bank statements, reconciliations, cash balances, and all those things. So you already know the processes. Or if I say you are working in some sales industry and you shifted to Oracle, you already know what happens in the sale process. You make a order, you take an order, it is converted, and then it is delivered. So all those processes you already know. You may just require that to map it to the system. So that is where subject matter is nothing but you already are domain expert. Then you require the skills which are nothing but in terms of what setups need to go where. Then few of the common dependencies in terms of, if I'm talking about P2P, so we create a supplier that is still payment, it is across different modules. So we have, for example, different phases: inception, elaboration, all these, business requirements, design, testing. So all these are part of the processes. Phases again, inception, elaboration. Maybe we are more active during elaboration and construction phase, because this is where we do the configurations and user interaction and all those things. Then what are the different focus areas? So you can have implementation, you can have support. In terms of PMBOK is nothing but the project management, PMP base. Then you can manage different projects. You can have a change management. Change management is nothing but we already had a scope. Scope means we are going to implement so and so modules, and in that, if any new requirement came up, so that will go as a change request, and we can handle through this methodology. So that is what it is means to be. Then these are the different phases that what I have mentioned. So this is one of the very important document. We normally make it, and you have to at least by heart few of them. So earlier there was something called as AIM methodology. If those who are from e-business suite for past 10, 15 years or 12 years or 10, whatever it is, if they already work on e-business suite, they know what is AIM. It is application implementation methodology, but Oracle changed it to OUM because they mentioned that we need to be more aggressive as per today's technology and all those processes. So they change it. Now, future business process. So let's say we captured the requirements and based on the requirement like document sequence or there is no workflow at all. I mean to say there is no journal or invoice approval. This is the first time they are going to implement or they want these features. So all those things are part of the future process. So in what phase we are going to use it? Earlier it was called as BPAT, business process. Now it is called as RD11, requirement document 011. So in the interview they may ask, okay, so you do a setup or you do a high level future process. So what is the document name you refer it? It is called as RD11. BP60, this is high level again business descriptions. Current process model is nothing but current requirement. Earlier we used to call it as BP40, now we call it as RD. BP means business process, RD means requirement document 30. Then this BR100 is very common. Like in my all life of career of 20 years, always I listen it from day one till now, BR100 and MC10 and 20. Because the setups which we do, right? We have done so many setups. Like we go to primary ledger, we define the ledger name, we define the retained earnings account, we define whether the general language will be English, document sequence enable. All these are captured in this setup document. Why we need to have this setup document? The clients insist that you need to provide us these documents. It's mandatory. The reason are couple of reasons. One is each one will have a milestone. So when the client is going to make a payment to the vendor, so he says that once you are done with your BP, say let's say RD 30, we will make 10% payment. During kickoff, 5% payment. During, let's say we are done with MC 50, we will give you 20%. So like this, till this level, it will be 100%. That is in terms of project milestone. The second important is we, let's say we implemented and after 3 months after hypercare support, the contract is closed. Now we will be leaving the premises of the client. So they will be having their own IT team. So they will use these documents for their reference. Apart from that, let's say after 2 years or 3 years, they want to again have a upgrade of the system or they want to add new modules, then they will be using these documents as a tool because the new consultant, they will come and they will not refer your system directly. They will first ask, do you have any documents repository? Based on that, they will understand. So that is the reason these documents are much important. Not only that, tomorrow, let's say I have done this MC10 or MC20, setups are done. I'm going on vacation for 2 months. So my counterpart will refer this document. So for these reasons, these are all deliverables. These are very important, right from management till the consultant level. So these are the documents which you just need to refer it. Like for example, here we are talking about PE means test scripts execution. So this is something called as PE means test scripts execution. So they kept the same terminology of E, but they just changed the number. So 30 was earlier, now 35 and 40. So what it means, we are going to integration test scenarios and test results. So we will be preparing a document again. So here, for example, system test scenarios, test results, then user guides. It is mandatory to have the user guides, which we committed during the project. So those are referred as 70. There are more than 100 documents in OUM, but I have highlighted the maximum use in the implementation, the mandatory which is used. So please refer this slide, and I request you take a printout until you clear your interviews, put it on some wall or something, stick it to the wall, because definitely they will ask what is the name of this document and all those. Where can we see these documents? If it is a Oracle partner, the vendor, we can have these documents. Otherwise, it's we, the client, when we share to the client, the client will have those documents. If you ask me particularly, we may not have this. I myself will be having these templates because I am working the live implementation. But being the customer data, it is not allowed to share these things. So that is the reason. So, but you can just try to understand. I will try to get one or two how it looks, the test scripts and all those things. I will just remove the client names and those data, and I will discuss with you, or I will show you the sample as well in the next sessions. Okay, I do have all those relevant. I will try to remove it, the name of the clients and all those things. Then I will show to you as well. I will share with you. I will put it in the folder, the one which we have, the G Drive folder, so you can also use it for your purpose. Okay, so this is all about OUM. Any questions here, please? I will stop the recording. So just to ensure that, see, I started my career 20 years back. So at that time, I used to follow AIM. Now we are following OUM. But these concepts, right from project design till realization, nothing has been changed. 20 years back, when I was part of a consultant, my project manager, we all go to the client place. We had a kickoff. The kickoff meeting was conducted 20 years back, and all the projects still it is conducting and it will be conducted. So this is something, whether you work 20 years or 60 years, these things will be never change. So you have to, by heart, you have to stick in your mind that these are will be the faces which will be always there. Maybe the headlines, naming culture might have changed, but the concepts, update setups, we conduct, we load and validate data, we migrate configuration to production. These things are very common. Not only for this Oracle, even if you take any software, SAP or any other ERP software, we followed the same methodology. That is the reason I'm insisting. Please by heart this. Tomorrow maybe you are working in some other ERP, or you are just being a project manager based on your experience, then you need to know all these things. So for that reason. Yeah, so this is one of the very important session on OEM methodology. Every consultant, every support person, whether you are a fresher or you have already experience, it doesn't matter. You have to touch base these slides.